Oh, hello. Good to see you this Saturday morning. Hit the wrong button there. Hello. It is now 10 a.m. We're going to go over a couple of things, starting off, of course, our weather impact alert that's starting off into this afternoon, and it's also going to continue all the way through Tuesday morning, due to not only the winter storm coming in later this evening, but also for the bitter cold temperatures that are going to be following it heading into Tuesday morning. I think a lot of us could be in the single digits. Some impacts that we're going to be watching very closely, not only for tonight and tomorrow, but also into early next week. Going to be the icy travel, the widespread scattered power outages too, that could be also prolonged, and of course that bitter cold air. So make sure you have supplies that'll last at least a couple of days. Protect your pipes too, and think about your pets too. Make sure they have somewhere to sleep that's warm. Your neighbors too. Make sure you're checking on people also. If you don't have a backup generator, make sure you have other ways, again, to stay warm if your power does go out, because it's going to be very, very cold following this system. If you have any questions for me during this impact show, or just at all for me or Ed this morning, and then this afternoon, our chief meteorologist, Tim Buckley, and also Alex Williams will be in to answer questions. You can text us at 336-379-5775, and we'll do our best to get those questions answered. Just include your name and your location. Again, that's 336-379-5775. So wanting to jump right into the forecast here, there have been a couple of reports of flakes in very western parts of the state, like over toward Boone right now. You can see the flakes starting to fall down, but the flakes, these showers have to overcome a lot of dry air for them to be able to get down to the surface. Right now, only starting to see those flakes in westernmost counties of North Carolina, but it is cold enough. We're in the middle 20s over in Boone. A nice scene right now, 26 currently. A look at the winter radar right now. This is the ginormous winter storm stretching all the way from portions of Texas and even parts of Nevada too toward us here, and going to also impact parts of the Northeast heading into the day tomorrow. Us here in the Triad starting to see some of those snow showers pop up in westernmost counties. Very, very light in nature. I do want to say that. Likely going to be seeing more so into this afternoon and evening. But again, has to overcome a lot of dry air to be able to get all the way down to the surface too. So may take a little bit of time. We'll be sure to keep you posted on that. But did see a little bit of that snow starting to come down over in Boone. Winter weather alerts. Take a look at this. There are a lot of colors on this map, but all you need to know is that each of these colors is a different winter weather alert. Obviously, we're in the winter storm warning, and so is a lot of the United States. Just so you can kind of get a look at how many people are affected by this. I saw a number online. I'm pretty sure it's over 160 million, and that was just a few days ago before they even expanded the alerts into parts of the Northeast. But stretching this all the way into the Northeast is about 2,000 miles of states that are all impacted from this winter storm, and will continue to be, obviously, for the next couple of days. So, wow. And we don't get to see this setup very often, but again, for us, I do want to emphasize, especially for the parents with kids that want to go out and play in the snow, this is not really a snow event at all. This is more so ice and sleet. This is a dangerous ice storm that's going to have some impacts on mainly going to be the power outages, as well as the icy roads too, not only for this weekend, but also as we head into early next week. Likely going to be seeing more snow over, of course, you can probably guess, north of our area over toward Washington, New York, and Cincinnati, where you don't have as much warm air able to mix in at certain levels of the atmosphere. So kind of starting out here, what are we expecting at first? What's the timeline? Well, into this afternoon from around 3 to 6 o'clock, we're going to expect that to kind of start to build in. Could start maybe seeing a little bit of snow at first. I'm not expecting all that much from that. It is mainly a sleet and ice storm. For those of you just tuning in with us, again, it is mainly a sleet and ice storm than anything else. Starting later on tonight by around 5 or 6 o'clock, it's going to transition, if it does start as snow, especially in northernmost counties and in parts of Virginia, transitioning quickly over to sleet later on tonight, and then freezing rain, which is going to remain a concern all the way throughout the day on Sunday. So when we'll talk about amounts in just one moment, but what exactly is going to fall? I hope this does a good job of kind of just telling you it's going to be a mix of things, but more than anything else, it's going to be ice and it's going to be sleet. Any snow amounts are going to be very, very small in comparison to the accumulations of ice and sleet that are expected for our area. A lot of us are under that major ice threat. Snow and some sleet, you'll notice likely north of us over in parts of Virginia, and of course as you continue to go north into parts of the Northeast, of course they're going to get more and more snow because they have a whole atmosphere under freezing, so they're able to get that snow all the way down to the surface without any melting. Freezing rain, again, it really doesn't take much to cause issues, and we are in that half an inch to even more than that possible of accumulation for freezing rain. Freezing rain freezes on contact with whatever it touches, whether it be the ground, whether it be the grass, whether it be anything that you have outdoors that obviously will be impacted by this, but also more than that, the tree limbs and the power lines too. And after a certain amount of time, the accumulation adds up and it can just start to bring down power lines and trees too, which just causes even more power outages at that too. So let's break down kind of what each of these mean. What's a tenth of an inch in terms of impacts for freezing rain versus half an inch or even more than that, which we could get here in Greensboro. So in regards to impacts, a tenth of an inch, we'll start to see a little bit of a light glaze of ice on roads and sidewalks, which you'll have to watch your step, of course. You'll see some slick bridges, coated windshields, and maybe a couple of power outages, even just going up to a quarter of an inch of freezing rain, which is very likely in our area at this point in time. Icy roads, tree limbs, they'll start to sag and eventually break, and then that's when you can have power lines that are also torn down, and numerous power outages. Again, we could see up to or exceeding half an inch, so all the way to the right of your screen, whether you're watching on computer or on your phone. That is what we are expecting, and we've been anticipating. Seeing dangerous travel is likely going to be along roads. Widespread tree damage is also going to be possible as well. It's kind of like a winter hurricane. Our chief meteorologist called it that the other day, just because of the amount of damage it can do to some of our trees and power lines too. Long-term power outages are going to be possible just with the amount of ice and sleet accumulation itself. And it's also going to be very, very cold after that. I want you to know after this storm passes, it doesn't end there. The impacts don't, at least. That's why we have our impact alert lasting all the way through Tuesday, not only for possible power outages, but also the fact that it's going to be insanely cold. And we'll talk more about that in a moment. So how much are we expecting on the ground? Well, we could get up to maybe 1 to 2 inches. Again, this is everything. This is that little bit of snow we could see in the beginning, plus the sleet, and then the ice on top that's going to fall on the sleet. As you go toward the south, likely more so, coating up to maybe an inch over toward parts of Montgomery and Randolph and Davidson counties, southern parts of that area. As you continue to go south, likely not going to be seeing much at all. Going north, however, more opportunity to see some snow, and even those snowflakes mix in from northernmost counties early on into this afternoon ahead of the transition to mainly sleet later into the evening. So what's the difference between snow and ice? Well, I've been kind of hinting at it throughout this conversation, and this is kind of the easy way I can explain it. So what's the difference? Well, with snow, obviously, from the cloud all the way down to the surface, you're going to have air that's below freezing. The snow is able to stay and put all the way down without having to worry about any sort of melting. However, that changes when you start to introduce warm air, at least somewhere in the atmosphere. A thinner kind of wedge of warm air that's a little bit above freezing in the atmosphere, but then you have obviously some air below it that's below freezing. You can get sleet where air is able to melt and then refreeze, and that's kind of what makes those little ice pellets, right? Then freezing rain, you have a very, very thin layer at the surface of below freezing temperatures where the rain is able to freeze on contact after being melted for so long. So you have kind of a bigger warm layer in the atmosphere, and once it makes contact with wherever it is, whether it be, again, power lines, sidewalks, it freezes on contact with the surface. And that is the worst for any sort of travel. And that is what we're going to be dealing with for the next couple of days. So it's worth kind of noting the differences and how they are different in regards to not only their scientific production, but also in regards to how they can impact you too. So starting to see more of these this moisture move in later on by around 5 or 6 o'clock into the night tonight. 7 o'clock too, starting to see already a little bit more of a transition in the late and some of the most recent models into parts of sleet. We're going to be very, very cold too, sitting in the low to mid 20s. Into early Sunday morning, mainly going to be transitioning into freezing rain. And depending on how long that lasts, well, that'll kind of deter on make a difference on how long these outages actually last for. Another round likely later on Sunday night, but notice by the time we step into Monday, we're drying out, but the impacts will stay with us. Look at temperatures Monday morning, already back in the 20s, and they're going to be struggling to get into above freezing levels as we head even into midweek. Wednesday is when we could finally see temperatures above freezing, Wednesday afternoon. So impacts will likely last far beyond today and tomorrow. Here's the latest timeline. Again, mostly dry for the day today, a little bit cloudy, albeit brief snow and sleet mixing in later on tonight. By tonight, difficult travel is going to be likely. Sleet is going to be taking over any parts of snow that's had started, sleet, and then freezing rain taking over into the day Sunday. Likely going to continue as we head into the afternoon and into the evening too. Power outages likely a problem by Sunday night. If not Sunday night, then definitely by the time we wake up on Monday and Tuesday. It could very well also extend beyond that too. So as we prep here for the winter storm, here are some of the home emergency supplies that you should have, at least 3 days worth of food and water. Of course, a backup heat source. Consider a generator, wood stove, or space heater. Also want to make sure you have flashlights and batteries with the power outages that are going to be likely with this storm. First aid kit and medications. Make sure you have all prescriptions, emergency medical supplies, extra blankets, and make sure you have layers too. You can also check smoke and carbon monoxide detectors too. These are all good things to do right now ahead of the storm coming later into this afternoon and evening. Anything that you need to get done, make sure it's done by around 3 o'clock. That's any errands, whether it be the grocery store, some people want to go to the wine store, wherever you need to go get your errands done, get your medications. Do it before the storm actually starts by around 3 or 4 p.m. And that would be, again, the earliest start time, but you don't want to be scrambling last minute when it starts snowing or sleeting. You just don't want to get caught on these bad potential roads. So here's the setup that we're looking at and how this is even able to happen. And I'm going to take my face off the screen so you can get kind of a full view. High pressure north of our area, that is our cold air source. That's funneling in air out of the northeast. It's also funneling in dry air at that too. So that's why it's going to take a little bit for that snow and that moisture to make it all the way down to the surface. Low pressure is dragging in and along our south, bringing in the moisture that'll be clashing with that cold air and, of course, a little bit of warm air that we have in some layers of the atmosphere too, creating that wintry mix all through tonight and into Sunday too. Going to be cold also heading into early next week. So that's the system that we're tracking. Another close look at what the radar could look like into this afternoon by around 5 o'clock. Again, starting to get going with a couple of snow showers, but quickly turning to sleet later tonight, early into Sunday too, likely becoming freezing rain early into Sunday morning and staying that way into the afternoon. For our coast, where temperatures are going to be above freezing, likely more of a rain event, but likely going to be freezing rain for us as temperatures are expected to be below freezing all throughout the duration of this event and even into early next week, clearing out later into Sunday night. Again, expecting up to around half an inch or even more than that, a very high impact system for ice. Not expecting as much snow if you're just tuning in with us, mainly a sleet and ice storm for us. Anywhere between 1 to 2 inches going to be possible up in northernmost counties, and as you go north, higher potential to see mainly just snow. One more little explainer I wanted to do, of course, my donut explainer, and I love my donuts. I'm craving Krispy Kreme as we speak. Freezing rain is basically the glaze of ice that you see on a regular donut versus as it freezes on contact versus the sleet is ice pellets. You can think of that as the sprinkles of ice that you see on a donut too. So one more look at timeline here. Over the next few hours, we'll be seeing that moisture build into the area, starting out likely maybe seeing a little bit of snow, turning to sleet and then freezing rain. Dangerous travel going to be all throughout the afternoon and evening. Make sure you get done with driving by around 3 o'clock. Power outages going to be a problem late Sunday and into Monday with that